Hey everyone, and welcome to the Broken Worship Podcast. I'm your host, Zach Mitchell. Today we have a very special episode. I a fan of Kingdom Core, which is like a local or like a Christian metal community, and I found out about this new upcoming band called Fighting Regress, and I just thought I'd give it a go without any expectations of seeing if anyone from the band would be willing to come on the podcast because I fell in love with them right away. And the vocalist Alec said yes. So I'm super excited to visit with him. So thank you for coming, Alec.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
So the first thing I saw from your band is the intro video, and
Mhm.
I was so intense. It was simple, but it was so intense.
Yeah.
And it got you hooked. Like,
hmm
so what kind of started that off?
So what's really funny about it is that we thought of it like on the fly. We didn't really plan a lot of the visualizers. Originally, that was going to be just a visualizer. And then because we did it in one take, we decided, I mean, obviously it's not like exactly one take because we had a shot where I was wearing like all black, and then we had a shot where I was wearing something different, which was in all the other stuff. But yeah, it was definitely something that we could have done better as far as planning time. But for the majority of it, a lot of it was just kind of shot on the fly. I came up with the idea of like doing kind of, I'd seen someone before, and they did like a one take music video. But I really liked that idea. And so I suggested it to our drummer, Kevin, and he was like, we can try it. He's like, I don't know. And then as we were doing it, we did like one run through, and he's like, oh, I have a great idea. And then that's when we came up with the idea of like splitting the the shots to where like it kind of transitions into like this dark version of me and everything. And then after that, we actually shot all the visualizers besides I think it was two of them in the same day. So we shot um the intro music video, which was originally going to be a visualizer that we just changed to a music video. Um, and then we were going to shoot It's Over Now, that visualizer. And then we shot, I believe, Left Unholy. And then I think we had one for Homesick that we didn't end up using. Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure that we didn't, but we might have. Uh, but yeah, so we did all that. Got some shots here and there for Burn. Here's a fun story about Burn, and it's kind of uh, I'll say the nice thing. It worked out better in the long run than I thought it would. But so originally we were gonna have a music video for Burn, and that one fell through. I won't go into details why, because like there's no hard feelings between the people that we were working with or everything and everything like that. But it was it I was looking forward to that music video coming out, and then we just ended up scratching the entire thing.
That's a bummer.
So
That one was a heavy song.
yeah, so that's the heaviest song on the EP for sure. And so we wanted to come out with a bang and everything. And so I went to it was actually my wife and I, we went out to my parents' property and got like two old bushes, or like two old flower pots, and I just like doused them with kerosene and then took a match and threw it and then just sat on my phone and videoed that for like 2 minutes of it just burning. And that's what the single cover is.
Oh, that's
And so
dope.
it's just a still shot of the video of the visualizer. And we just
Wow.
edited it. I threw like fighting regress and then burn over it. And then I just was like, this is like last minute. We did it, but the I think 5 days before the song came out. So
Wow. So,
yeah, it was quick turnaround.
awesome. So,
Go ahead, go ahead.
I wanted to kind of get more into that, the it's like kind of the EP in a little bit, but I did want
Mhm.
to like, for anyone who might not have heard of fighting regress, could you kind of talk about how the band started, some of the like some of the members and the mission of fighting regress as a whole?
Yeah. So loaded question. It's a good question too. But so I'll kind of start where we started. So it first started with our drummer Kevin. He was previously in a band. They actually worked with the lead vocalist of the Plot in You, Landed Tours.
Wow.
Yeah, and he was their producer. And then uh he left the band and he was not playing anywhere. He was playing in church here and there, but wasn't really playing in church, wasn't really playing a lot. And then one of his friends that he worked with at DHL, and Kevin, you can put in the comments if I'm getting this incorrectly, but um, so they worked at DHL together, which was Cameron, our rhythm guitarist, and they were like, "Hey, let's." They both liked metal music, and so they kind of were like, "Let's toy around, play something a little bit, like just jam out a couple of days." And then Kevin got a hold of his friend that he's had for as long as I can remember, Jordan, which is our lead vocalist, our lead guitar player. And all three of them started working on like just playing around, making songs. Fast forward to, I believe it was January of 2021, or it might even have been November of 2020. It was during COVID. Um, I don't know if that's a hot word or not. I might get canceled for saying I don't know. But we we my church at the time needed someone to play drums, and the worship pastor at the time knew who Kevin was. I didn't. So he reached out to Kevin. Kevin came. I was leading a song at church, and then from there, Kevin and I just like kind of talked like, oh, we both like metal music, and then we exchanged contact. Like 3 months go by, and then I text him, I'm like, hey, are you still looking for a vocalist? And he's like, yeah. Are you wanting to like do something? I was like, yeah. I'm like, if you guys have something going on, I'm like, I can just come hang out or something like that. And then I kind of went there, like kind of tried out, so to speak. And then like they sent me out to my truck for like 5 minutes and then called me back in, had like super cinematic music playing in the background. They're all sitting around like this in the studio. And then they're like, you're in. Like they're like, there's no surprise there. So from there on, that's when we started working on some of the songs. It was a long road to get there, but that's kind of how Fighting Regress started. Kind of the goal of the band. Um, this will be moving forward, but we had so many different issues trying. This is kind of a side tangent, leading into where I was talking. But we had so many different issues with our EP artwork when it came to how we were distributing it. The people that we went through, um, which they're great and everything. It's just that there were a lot of requirements that were like AI generated through the like the artwork. And so like it was giving us flags all the time, like on we needed to adjust something, we need to do this or that or this or that. And so um originally on the original artwork there was going to be a Roman numeral 619. And what those Roman numerals represent is Ephesians 6:19, where it says, like, let me be fearfully, or let me, or pray for me also that words may be given to me so I can speak the wonders of the gospel. So that's kind of where the whole idea comes from as far as the band. Like, we don't want to shy away from being Christians. Do we really market ourselves as a Christian band? Not really, but if that's what people want to call us, then it's not wrong because all of us are Christians. So there's no like, oh, I don't want to be a Christian band because of the Christian name. It's just we don't really market ourselves as that, but we have no problem being like niched into Convictions. I absolutely love Convictions. I've listened to them for like 12 years. I love Wolves at the Gate. I've talked to Nick Deddy a couple times. Great dude. Uh, for today, like Memphis Mayfire, they're not really considered a quote unquote Christian band, but Maddie is obviously a Christian. But yeah, you kind of get where I'm going with that. But yeah, that's kind of the whole premise of the band. Is to
Awesome.
the name comes from like kind of, let me word it correctly. So it's where you're basically fighting to not regress back to your previous self. So
Yeah.
like where you're like born a sinner, you're reborn as a believer or a follower of Jesus, and then that struggle in between, like being born again and like trying to get to like that top level. No one's ever gonna get to that top level that they want to with God. No one's ever gonna be on the same level. They're never gonna get there. So that's like a hard thing to realize. And that struggle, that's while we're here on earth, is kind of the whole premise of fighting regress. It's fighting and always striving for something more in your faith or just in life, than rather than to regress back into a previous state, which could be, you know, um, literally anything in the book. I won't go through that, but it's a very long kind of way to describe it, but that's the best way that I can.
Awesome. I like that. So there's so many questions I want to ask. So
Mhm.
the next thing I wanted to bring up was so y- like just from so I listened through your EP at least a few times in preparation for this,
Mhm.
and you have some badass talent. Like you're like your cleans. I'm a former vocalist of a I was
Mhm.
in a vocalist of a little local band in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Um
Mhm.
so like where did you like because I a lot of times screaming vocal you work on one or the other, and like
Mhm.
you have some crazy highs, some crazy lows, and then beautiful singing. And like how did that start, like in some of your influences? And then on top of that, you're directing these awesome videos. Like did you like have like so it sounds like you had some awesome connections. So did you like work with other vocalists or
So I'll kind of start with where like I started with like metal vocals. I first started doing like screams, and I would consider myself more of a scream vocalist than a clean vocalist, which sounds funny. Um, because I'm actually in another band where I do only cleans. So
oh,
we can get to that in a minute because we just released music. But as far as like where I first started with like vocals in general, I started doing screams. I grew up where like my whole family was musically inclined. I didn't want to do anything with music, but I loved listening to music. And so I loved listening to rock. And like I was with those gateway bands of like Skillet, 3 Days Grace, um, oh, who else? 30 Seconds to Mars, like some of those like not so heavy bands. And then I gradually got into stuff like Impending Doom and Wolves at the Gate, early Wolves at the Gate. I remember when they started in Cedarville, like Cedarville, Ohio. I'm like 45 minutes away from there. So it's a it gradually moved to, so I at that point I or as of right now, sorry, I'm kind of jumping around, but as of right now, I have done scream vocals for, I want to say 14 years. I believe that's correct. I started around 12 or 13 years old. My parents absolutely were freaking out all the time when I was like screaming in the shower, screaming in my room, like sounded terrible. They thought my parents were pastors growing up, so I'm a PK. And yeah, they were like they were okay with me listening to metal as long as it was Christian metal, but obviously the older I got, the more I branched out and like I was strong enough in my faith to be able to listen to other like secular bands, which I absolutely love a lot of them. But I didn't start doing clean vocals until I was probably 20 or 21, and I am 26 now. So it's been a it's been a short ride with clean vocals, and I know I have a lot to learn, especially with doing scream vocals. And I know I'm definitely going to have things to learn with scream vocals as well. I'm never going to be perfect at either one of those. Um, but yeah, I definitely would consider myself more of a scream vocalist. And I originally thought that I was going to be in a band like Impending Doom. I didn't think I'd be in like kind of a modern metalcore bands. I expected myself to be in something like Kubla Khan TX or
Uh,
Knocked Loose, Impending Doom, something stupid heavy, and just kind of ignorant caveman metal. Um, but I that's some of the music that I absolutely love the most.
so since you're really into there's two, well, at least there's, um, Cultist is a new like heavy Christian metal band. Like, so like you listen
Super
to
good.
them. Yeah. And then
Hmm.
uh, Impending Doom, like, so modern metalcore is like it's, well, like I say 90s, but it's really now it's early 2000s, but like Under Oath, and like
Hmm.
This May Fire, like that was my genre. And like
Yeah.
a Day to Remember. So I
Hmm.
like I like the heavy shit like Impending Doom and the Kubla Khan, but um my like I just when I have this, I just have a heart for like a day to bless the fall. Like I love my
Oh yeah.
clean vocals, like choruses.
Oh, absolutely.
It's a nice break, and then like I feel like
Yeah.
it pulls out your heartstrings in those moments. But
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
um so do you, so I wanted to ask, like, do you have a connection with Kingdom Core, or like how, because I'm thankful that they recognize you, because I wouldn't have had heard about you without that.
Yeah, so I kind of do. Not kind of, I do. But so the connection that I had was nothing that I did. I don't want to take any credit for it. It's one of my buddies that I love dear. Would literally drive halfway across the country for him if he really needed it. His name is Trevor Tyson, and I'm sure you've probably heard of him. Maybe you have, maybe you haven't, but he just released a new song called Withering, feature or from the band Heal the Hurt. So that's the second band that I'm in.
Okay.
So I do clean vocals and I play bass and Heal the Hurt as well. But that could be a whole nother conversation or topic even later in this interview if you want, or it could be a whole different interview if you want to do that.
Yeah.
But so Trevor wanted to connect me with Sean. I believe it's Sean. I always get the two names mixed up. It's either Sean is from, I think Sean's from Kingdom Core. I'm gonna seem like a terrible person, but it was Sean and I can't think of the guy's name from For the Rock, but you guys know who you are. I'm sorry if I'm messing up your guys' names, but yeah. So they Trevor connected me with both of them, and then I kind of went from there, talking to them, setting up times on which they could like promote us and do everything like that. So I'm not taking any credit for it. A lot of that stuff and a lot of where Kingdom Core had posted all of our stuff, they did that out of the kindness of their heart. And on top of that, Trevor was just that nice of a person to help me out, and help my entire band out. So I definitely don't want to take credit for that.
Oh, that's yeah, that's cool. It sounds like um I know it's not always what you know, it's who you know. And I like with what you like with your talent and that connection, I I foresee if you guys are blow up and you don't forget about this interview, I foresee you guys playing bands with like shows with like convictions and confessions of a trait. I think you guys have a really bright future ahead of you. So I'm
I appreciate that.
super stoked about that. Um, so what a little bit about broken worship in this podcast is I I believe so I felt I've with uh, sorry I'm nervous because I usually almost like a celebrity
You're good. You're
but
good. No, no. Hey, don't think that way. Like I'm just I I'll tell you right now. I am a born and raised country boy. You probably would never guess it. I am one of the biggest country fans that you can think of. I listen to country like every other day. I like I use the term a lot, corn fed. So
yeah
I'm not like huge. I'm not like super built or anything like that. But I was raised in the boondocks of Ohio in a bunch of cornfields. So I grew up on a farm. Like I'm just a normal dude. So treat me as if there's any other friend that's in the room and we're all just having a conversation. I want you
well
to feel comfortable.
awesome. So anyway, so broken worship, I started broken worship kind of after my local band fell apart and
Mhm.
I felt like God's calling reach to reach people that don't feel comfortable in a church setting, show Jesus's love and let people know that they're not too far gone. Like
Yeah.
in the metal community, people want um people are coming there for community and maybe don't
Mhm.
want Christ preached down their throats, but as
Yeah.
Christians, we're called, I love like Matthew chapter 25. We're
Hmm.
called to love the least of these, and we're called so like, and so I will never, not a pastor, I'm not a theologian. I just have a heart for um so because I in my past I overcame a speech impediment and my wife works for a company where she helps people with special needs and I just there's such
Hmm.
a marginalized and so in the especially in the metal community how do you go about being in a Christian band um to reaching the people because you'll have people Christians that like come out for but how do you hope to reach like the lost and hurting without being like how do you go about that?
Um, so I'll kind of answer that in two ways. So lyrically, one way that I like writing lyrics, and I kind of learned this a little bit from Noah Sebastian, from Bad Omens, but not like I haven't worked with him. I would love to, but that'd be like a dream. I'm literally wearing a Bad Omens shirt underneath this, so like, but lyrically, I like writing to where it's kind of cryptic. If someone is a believer or a follower of Jesus, they'll know and see like all the little quote unquote footnotes. They'll see the little references that like I make in the lyrics. Um, or funny enough, a lot of the EP I didn't even write. I only wrote separate ways. So everything else was primarily Kevin, our drummer, who actually wrote the lyrics. But I helped a lot with like singing melodies, finding cadences for like screams, all that. Anyway, but I like writing to the point where someone who's not a follower of Jesus will be able to relate to the lyrics just as much as someone who is a follower of Jesus can. So I like having those like scriptural elements in the lyrics, not because I'm like saying, "Oh, here's Jesus going down your throat," like you're saying, because I've had that before, and I don't like when like someone who is quote unquote religious like shoves their opinion, their religion in my face. It turns you off. It really does. And it's sad to see a lot of Christians do that. But another thing, as far as like how we plan on reaching the lost, we just want to love people. We want people to know that they're heard, let people know that they're not alone in whatever they're doing, whatever situation, struggle they're in. That's kind of one way that I like writing songs. I write them not to the point where they're straight from my personal life, but they're kind of taken out of a certain situation maybe I have gone through. And then because of that certain situation, I write about a topic, and it's not nothing specific to me. It just makes it more broad to where people can actually understand it and know like, hey, this is a song for drug abuse. If you've ever gone through drug abuse and you're starting to get sober, like this is a song for you. It's it's whatever it is. So yeah, that's kind of the main thing, and yeah, just being down to earth with people. I don't, I'm not this type of person that wants to go play arenas. I don't want to go. Like if it comes down to it, and we're given the opportunity to go play Ali Pali in London, like I'll do it. Obviously, I'm not going to say no to that,
Yeah.
but yeah, I'm looking for those small venues, small, hot and sweaty venues like Mr. Smalls in Pennsylvania or Bogarts in Cincinnati. Like it's those kinds of venues that I would want to get to more than like playing a huge arena, something like that. But yeah,
I wanted to share a story with you, because
yeah,
with convictions. So I
yeah,
s- so I okay, I used to be very anti Spotify, I want to go buy physical albums. Like I want to go,
hmm,
it kills me even thinking about streaming services anymore. But anyways,
yeah,
especially when I was in my band, um, I was in my band. It's like I want to sell physical. I want to be able to open up and just read a thank you page and all that. But anyways,
yeah.
I found convictions from Spotify, and I was like, this is probably going to become one of my all-time favorite bands. And
Hmm.
I got to see them. In Sioux City, Iowa is a pretty intimate bars venue, and I
Yeah.
like I like wrote them like a note of how much their music meant to me and stuff.
Yeah.
And then so I talked with Mike, the vocalist, and I told him I fell in love with their song called Brother's Blood. And I would mean the world to me.
All-time favorite
Here,
song.
here,
That's my all-time
yeah,
favorite song. I
yeah.
have to tell you that right now.
And so
Continue. I'm sorry.
so they changed their final song to Brother's Blood for me. They are the sickest dudes, and
Hmm.
I just encourage you, um, and in your in your music, all you guys in fighting regress, um, don't get because it's easy to get wrapped up in the business aspect. Don't
Hmm.
the it bugs me going to shows like some of these vocalists are heroes and
Yeah.
they play and then they go to the bus. So I
Hmm.
encourage you as you grow, remember to why you're doing it. You for
Yeah.
God, for the
Yeah.
love of music and for people and just you're gonna touch people's hearts and
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
so I'm really excited for your future and that's my encouragement to you and
Appreciate that.
yeah and so I would love to have you on again. Like I said, I kind of prepared some stuff I wanted to talk about, but um can you share about the music a little bit about the music video Homesick?
Yeah. So, kind of briefly, it's kind of going through each one of the visualizers. So each one of the, and I'll briefly like explain the whole EP. I can do it probably pretty quick. Each one of the songs represents a different phase or a different emotion in which someone can go through during a period of like grief, hardship, anger. Anger is burn. Intro is just kind of talking about each one of them. um it's over now is like the initial like gut feeling of like, oh gosh, it's over now. Burn is where you get that anger feeling. um Separate ways is where like you're like, okay, I'm completely separating ties, I can't deal with that anymore. And then or like you're at the bottom of the barrel. And then homesick is where you rekindle that fire that you felt like you lost before, um with life, whatever relationship you have. But in the context of how we wrote it, it's in the context of God. So you're rekindling your fire. So like you kind of get mad at God in the very beginning, you completely sever ties, and your life keeps getting worse and worse up until a point where you start to realize, oh, you're just homesick. So you want to go back home. And it's kind of like the prodigal son type of story where he's running back to the father. That's where that kind of stems from.
Awesome. So I wanted to, because, um, I wanted to, if ever you want to just check out what, my former band is called
Mm-hmm.
Rebuild the Fallen. We did a 5 song EP. It's, on
I'll write it
Spotify
down.
and YouTube. I would love to hear what you thought of my. It was just a little. We played 10 shows, but it was like really a cool experience. And then I wanted to gift your band, my my published books. So this one's called Broken Worship, which is a collection of poetry. This is
Mm-hmm.
another No Darkness and Light, um and then imperfectly spreading a perfect gospel, uh, um br- uh ground to stand on, um s- saving grace, it's not about you anymore, and then my faith will not be safe. So if you could, after this interview, if you could email me like a PO box or something, I could send a gift for you
Yeah.
guys. And can you let everyone know how to get a hold of like your band, how to check it out, if you have any merch coming or anything, how we can learn more about you guys?
Yeah. Yeah. So merch wise, that's in the works. We are almost done finalizing that. So that'll be sometime soon. I can't say when because we'll have drops for it. and it'll be specific amounts. So I would just keep on the lookout, check our social media and all that. Um, but um, any of our social medias, we're the only people that are being followed on our Instagram. So I don't have social media. So there's not really a way to find me per se. But everybody else in the band, Kevin does, Tim, our bass player does, Jordan, our lead guitarist, and Cameron, our rhythm guitarist. They all have social media. They all have Instagram accounts. You can find them on Twitter, Instagram, yeah, really everything.
Awesome.
But yeah, I just really appreciate you wanting to interview me. This is the first one I've ever done, so I hope it was okay.
Oh, this is awesome, and I would love to
But
have
yeah,
you back. I would
yeah.
love. I so okay. Last thing, is there? Can we be expecting a full length? And I know it because I know it's you just released it, but at the same time, I know
Hmm.
as in this process, you've been sitting on it a while, and so a lot of
Yeah.
time you're writing still to because
Hmm.
it's social media and all this is so fast paced. So is there
Yeah.
a full length in the works?
Yes, there
Okay,
is one in the works.
okay,
I don't know what I can and can't say.
okay.
Yes, yes, there is one in the works.
Well,
That's all I can
yeah, yeah,
say.
yeah. Well, I wanted to say hi to everyone in the band, and I just want to encourage you guys. You guys for an for an upcoming band, you guys have a lot of potential, and you gained a new fan here in a little Sioux Falls, South Dakota area. So, but thanks again,
Awesome.
and
Appreciate it.
if we could still be in email contact, I want to be able to try to gift you these books.
Absolutely.
So,
Yeah,
thanks.
absolutely, dude.
And I would love, like I said, I would love to have you back in the future. So, thank you, Alec, and have a
Yeah.
great weekend, and God bless.